Hello there. It is Friday again. Not that you need me to announce that every week, but I haven't really figured out another opening. Uh, Broadcasting from home today as I manifested myself a good case of the cooties. And although I like to share, don't want to put that out there. So um, thought I'd come to you from my living room, which will be going on the market soon if anyone would like to purchase a home in beautiful Western Pittsfield. Uh, Give me a call. So, according to our calendar, we are in spring, at least here in the Northeast. According to outside my window, we are not. And although I know there's a process that we need to go through and we are not in charge of Mother Earth, thankfully, because we probably mess it up even more than we already are, I thought it would be a great time to just talk about and bring your attention to what you may be planting in your own life. The energy universally has been a little cranky lately. It has. I don't think we have to blame that on my buddy Mercury retrograde, but I do feel like it helps for us to become more aware that sometimes our emotions and sometimes our moods aren't always governed by our own self. You know, sometimes they are happening from what's going on around us. We're still responsible for how we act and how we talk to others and how we present ourselves in the world. So what I thought I'd talk about today, and I had this all lined up before the snow happened, so it just reinforces my point that things are going to happen in life. Things are going to come in that tip us off our center a bit. But there's also a way to be in your life, know that these things are going to happen, and navigate them and kind of flow through them. And so the snow being one of them, although I really want warm weather and more sunshine than we're seeing, I'm really glad that the water tables are going to be okay and that I tend to think of it as, not that there's a scorecard in nature, but maybe if it's taking a little bit for spring to come in, maybe we'll have a longer summer and ease into winter a little bit on the backside. So it's a little bit borrow from Peter to pay Paul, but hey, if it keeps me in some kind of sanity until we do see those warmer temperatures, I am all good with that. So the universal cranky energy, listen, we have about another 4 or 5 days of it. Do what you can do to help shift it, okay? So about 2 seconds ago, I could hear the birds out front attacking the bird feeders that are out there. I don't have bears in my hood yet, so I can still have the bird feeders out. And they just sounded so happy. And we can really learn a lot from nature in going with that flow and not taking it personally. I don't believe there's a vendetta against us. It just happens that it's taken a little bit longer to move out. So when you see the snow today, if it's still continuing out there, it can't really, it is. When you're looking at it, maybe be grateful for the fact that all of the flowers, I saw a couple budding, the ones that come up early. I stink at flowers, so I don't really know what they are. Little purple ones, little yellow ones. That they love this stuff. So they are absolutely thinking that they've just landed in the best world they could be in. So maybe we could borrow a little bit from them. So from a thinking of yourself as your own earth, right? What and you're going into your spring or your growing season, what is it that you're planting? Is there something that you would like to put into motion, that you would like to create? We really, I think sometimes we shy away from goals or intentions or accomplishments, points, whatever the case may be. I think the word you may use is, I feel like people shy away from that, and they get a little nervous about setting a deadline. I don't like that word, but I'm going to use it because that's what's going to make sense to most of your heads. And so I'm wondering, like, if you, and some of you are absolutely wonderful gardeners out there, so you will get this. But for the rest of us who go to the farm stands to buy the food, there's a lot of planning that goes into a garden. There's a lot that happens way before you can actually till the earth and put in whatever you're hoping to reap from that garden. So I'm going to suggest that all of us be in that space right now, and we be looking at what it is individually you want to create. So you have to plant those seeds. You have to pick the plot for it, which means you need to be clear with yourself about what you would like to have in your life. You have to be willing to say, I want good things. And I don't mean the trappings and the physical surroundings and all of that. That's all nice. But what I'm talking about is the feeling good within yourself, the sense of accomplishment that comes from actually setting a goal or an intention and then making those incremental steps along the way to meet them. And yeah, some of it's painful, some of it hurts, but the more in the flow you can get about it, the more you will see those accomplishments start to happen. Tomorrow there is a 5K race for Kids Place here in Pittsfield. And I did this race. I was trying to do the math the other night and figure out what was the first year I had done it. And it was 5 years ago, turns out. And that was one of the very first runs, never mind race, because I certainly didn't train for it, that I did. And when I was thinking about it this week, there's a hill at the end that's still pretty impressive. But when I did my practice run this week, I was like, man, I thought this hill was bigger. I wasn't complaining, because anybody who's ever run with me knows I complain about hills, but I'm working on it. Everybody has to have something, right? So the progress that's been made because I set an intention, and every year I do this race, and because I believe in the organization mostly, because you can go run for free if you want, but I believe in the Kids Place, so I want to support what they're doing. So this is something that is on my yearly calendar, and I make sure that I attend for myself. I don't care what you guys think of my numbers, and I don't remember my numbers from year to year. It's more the experience of, did I enjoy it? Hopefully my stomach will allow me to enjoy it tomorrow. But either way, I will have shown up one more year in that space. So I'm not talking about making these huge commitments every day where you have to hit a certain target or a certain amount or call a certain number of people and reach out and all of that. I'm talking about holding yourself accountable for something. Till that garden, like move that dirt and get something, write it down and get something that you would like to see manifest in your life, that you have to put a little bit of effort in, and that's not so like wishy-washy that you don't get to appreciate the sense of accomplishment along the way. A lot of the times when people come in, and we've been coaching for a couple months, a lot of the times I have to remind them of the progress they've made. And I will, keep certain events or ways that they address the situation in mind and hand it back to them to say, do you remember like 3 months ago you would have handled it this way, but you handled it in hopefully a calmer, more productive manner this time. Those are accomplishments. We need to have those. Kind of like I have gold stars in my office, and I'll hand out a gold star if somebody has an awareness about themselves that previously maybe they didn't give themselves permission to see. So as you're tilling up your life and you're looking around, like, what would you like to create? What needs to be different? I mean, be willing to look at the crap too and see what needs to be different. Does your relationship need to change? Is the work that you're doing providing a paycheck but not fulfilling? And when you're thinking in the terms of planting, choose the vegetables and the fruits and stuff that you like. Don't think you have to put something in your garden that somebody else really loves that you're not going to. I cannot stand kale, no matter what form. You try to tell me it's good for me, and I don't care. I'm not eating it. It's disgusting. And somebody else may absolutely adore it. But in my garden, there's no kale. In my house, there's no kale. It's just not happening. So knowing yourself well enough to know what are the plants that you want to put in, so that when you're fostering them and when you're fertilizing them and you're helping them to grow, that they end up being something that you even want to see and that you want to harvest. So you may want to sit down with maybe a 3-month plan of, in this month, this is what I would like to see myself do. In this month, I'd like to up it by this. In this month, so on. So the process of being willing to look at what's not working sets you in a direction to create what does work. So along the lines of fertilizers, necessary, you need nutrients. We very much benefit from, I think, a variety of people in our lives. There are some friends of mine that are, I'm not going to say never, that would most likely not want to join me for a run. And there are others that would not want to go to a Broadway show with me. And that's fine, because the nutrients that I get from all these different relationships, and hopefully I contribute as well to their relation to them, makes for a greater garden, and it makes for variety, and no one has to harvest vegetables they don't like. So the fertilizing part is for you to become aware of, well, what shit do you have in your life? And is that stuff that's in your life that doesn't feel so great, and that is actually brings a little bit of discord, even nausea, but that might be just today talking to your life. Are you agreeing to have that kind of crap in your life? And if it's there, you are. So you're going to have to look at that. Please don't sit in your shit. If there is something going on and there's an aspect of your life that's not working for you, don't pull up a seat and sit in it. Find somewhere else that you can offload and figure out how you can shift it, turn it, and create your own fertilizer that's going to work for you. So the idea of wanting what's best for us sometimes gets a bad rep, and we get called self-centered, too self-focused, all of that. But I don't know how we can be the only ones living our physical life and not be self-focused. Self-centered, different story. That's when you think the whole world revolves around you, not just your world. The whole world does not, and it doesn't have to. Your world, you do need to be willing to see all the different aspects of it. So, sometimes, how you can go to the store and you can get the organic food that they say it hasn't been, pesticides haven't been used. There's no foreign product in this or anything like that. Well, I think that works for our lives as well. So where are the pesticides in your world? Are you drinking too much? Do you smoke? Is there a junk food habit that's out of control? Is there sugar, caffeine, anything that's slowing down your physical self? And things affect people in a very different way. So that's up to you to decide. I'm not here to say, don't do this, don't do that. That's not my role. You're all adults, I hope, and you can make your decisions for yourself. But the ingestion of, well, literally pesticides, but also these items that we think are in our best interest and they really aren't, just because they taste good doesn't mean that they are good. So looking at your own personal vibration, because if something has additives in it or it just doesn't agree with you, right, it's going to shift your own center, and it's going to lead to crankiness, inflammation, all that kind of stuff. So pesticides can also be your own moods. Like, are you the one bringing the junk to the party? Is your garden not growing because you're not sure how to tend it? And sometimes we have to learn how to take care of ourselves in order to create and manifest that traveling career that we would like, or that relationship where the other person actually hears you when you speak, and they don't brush you off. So I hope that you guys are looking at spring in an exciting way, in a creative way. It is when our spirit typically wakes up and we come out of hibernation from winter. And although we don't do that much anymore, and I think that throws us off a little bit off balance, but spring is when we get to explore and we feel a little bit more invigorated. That might be the vitamin D, but we actually have that. So my challenge to you this week will be to consider the idea of you being the garden, and what you are creating and how you're watering it and feeding it and weeding. You've heard me say before that sometimes we got to weed people. And sometimes we have to weed ourselves from a situation. It's not always the other people. Sometimes it's us. So what will you cultivate this season? What's going on right now that's really cool in your world? Like, what has changed that's so exciting that you can't wait to talk about it, or you're completely lined up and energetic when you think about it? So as daunting as a task of getting this house ready to sell on my own with a wonderful realtor is, I am so stinking excited about whatever's to come next, like wherever I'll live, and what that will look like, and what's the community going to be like, and all of that. No, I'm not moving before anybody spreads that rumor. I am staying in the area. Just have a different address. So what will you cultivate in this month, in April? Don't go too far out, because you want to be able to set a goal, see some movement on it, see some accomplishment, so that you continue to move on down the line. So if you don't want to post it publicly, send me a private message if you'd like accountability. I'm not going to follow you around. I'm not even that kind of coach. I'll hold the space for you and I'll ask you about it, but I don't hold your feet to the fire, because again, we're all adults. So what is your goal? How are you going to challenge yourself to get there? And how will you know that you've achieved some steps along the way? Set those out for yourself as a parameter, so that when it happens, you do the happy dance, because that's also required too. So I wish you all the best of spring. Everybody, good run tomorrow in the 5K and the kids run. There's also a color run. You can register tomorrow if you haven't signed up. There's still space. And I will see you next week. And I hope you all have a great week. Bye.